new hot and techy Brezza, the Citybred SUV.
Right, Kolkata against Sunrisers is now Stark versus Cummins, among other stories. So on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Timeout. It's a very warm welcome to Stephen Smith. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right, my pleasure. Stark versus Cummins. If they get the chance to bowl to each other, let me start on a lighter note. How do Aussies match up when they play against each other in the IPL?
Good question. In the nets, they certainly don't bounce each other, so they're pretty friendly with that, keeping the ball nice and pitched up. But I don't know, the new rules in, you can bowl two bounces. Maybe they'll start to get a bit of chin music up there.
Oh, I'd love to see that. But I'd also love to see what we get to see from Pat Cummins, the T20 captain. Never seen him captain in this format. What kind of captain do you think he'll be?
Yeah, it's going to be a good challenge for him. He's never captained any T20 cricket, I don't think. So coming in hot to the IPL, he's obviously had a very successful campaign as captain for Australia the last few years. He works really well with Dan Vittori, who's at Australia as well. So I'm sure they're going to have a close bond, lots of strategy sessions together, and he'll certainly help him before he goes out onto the field. And then once he's out there, it's run the show, and I'm sure he's going to do a really good job.
The analytics become a big part of this format, not something that Pat's captain with. He's hailed by his teammates, I'm sure yourself as well, as a big man manager. What kind of T20 captain do you think he'll be? Does he rely a lot on matchups and numbers?
I think there'll definitely be part of it that he'll be looking at the numbers and seeing what's suited for different scenarios. And then I think the most important thing is playing the wicket that's in front of you. And I think he does that really well with his bowling. He sums it up, and whether he needs to take the pace off the ball and bowl cutters, bowl into the wicket, those kind of things, he does that really well, and he'll be able to share that information with the other bowlers out there, and they'll find the best way forward.
The challenge of being an overseas captain in the IPL, you've had to bear that responsibility as well, and the added pressure that you can only pick 4 overseas. So if your own performance isn't up to scratch, that often could play in the mind of an overseas captain. Has that ever been the case from your observations, experience?
I mean, yeah, you can only play 4, and there's quite often 8 really good overseas players.
Especially for Sunrisers.
Correct.
Really good bunch.
They do. They've got a very good bunch. So, I don't think he'll be feeling that pinch. He's a pretty cool and calm customer. He's a quality performer, whether it be with the ball or batting lower order. We can't forget he's scored some really handy lower order runs in recent times and in the IPL in the past as well. So, I think he's going to slot in nicely at 7 or 8 and probably get some quick runs also. So, they've got a good side, and I'm sure he's going to lead them well.
You'd argue that he's actually had more memorable batting performances in the IPL. Has that ever been something that you've tried to put a pin on? Why has Pat Cummins not been the T20 bowler, the IPL bowler that he is in the longer formats of the game?
It's a difficult form of the game as a bowler, isn't it? You're on a bit of a hiding to nothing sometimes on some of the grounds and wickets you play on. But, Pat, I think, is a smart cricketer. He's learned a lot the last few years. He's developed lots of different balls, the slower ball and the slower ball bouncer, I think, which he uses to good effect. I think he's going to have a really good IPL this year.
What's his best use? I'm sure he's going to decide that. But as a T20 bowler, new ball, or does he bowl at the death, which is not necessarily an easy place? Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to have to bowl in all different phases of the game, and he does that well. He's a good new ball bowler. He's got the ability to swing the ball particularly in, and if there's any movement in the wicket, he gets it out of it. And then in the middle overs, I think he'll be using 2 bounces quite often, bowling that back of a length, changing the pace, and then at the death, the same. He'll just mix it up, try to be as unpredictable as possible, and use his skills wisely.
All new hot and techy Brezza, the Citybred SUV.